You know what it is. It's that time. Seattle Connected, the hottest show online in the hottest show period because I have the hottest guests. You know what it is. The show that connects you with entrepreneurs, business people, movers and shakers in our community before they become household names, which we know they soon will be. Today's guest is a very special guest. Since birth, she's always been a fighter, fighting for others who might need a little help in the fight. She throws the gloves off and she's ready to get down. She took time to know the law so you can know your rights, and she never sleeps. She won't sleep until she's making sure that you're okay. And like Nasir Jones said, she never sleeps because sleep is the cousin of death. Nah, never mind. She didn't say that. Nas did, though. But please welcome my guest, attorney Patrice. Hello.
Hi there.
How was the intro?
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay. I have to ask my guests that every time. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Patrice. You know, I thought this would be a very cool interview because there's always so much more to learn about law and, you know, how our daily lives, you know, we might be in need of some, you know, legal assistance or advice or someone we know. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So, Patrice, where do we start? So are you from the area originally?
Not originally from Seattle,
Where are you from?
But I've been here for 20 years, originally from the East Coast, Washington, D.C. area. Seattle has been home for 20 years.
Home sweet home, right?
Home sweet home, that's right.
So what brought you into this field? Is this something that you've always been interested in? Were you that kid who was always like debating people, or you wanted to throw your 2 cents in even if it wasn't asked? You're just like, I got something to say. Or were you that kid in class? Or
I was definitely that kid.
Okay.
I always wanted to put my 2 cents in. I always wanted to debate somebody about, you know, what was right, what was wrong. That was my jam. I love to argue, but not about conflict, just to flesh out people's ideas, flesh out what they think.
Right.
That's always been something I'm interested in. That's pretty much how it originated. I had an aptitude for reading. I really enjoyed reading. I really enjoy asking people things. I'm curious. And so that was a sort of a natural fit, I think, to the legal world, even though that wasn't my initial thought of what I was going to do for my career. Yeah. But that's just sort of the way it happened.
Became your calling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Nice. So what areas of law do you practice?
So I do estate planning for all individuals. I also do contracts, read, review, interpret contracts for folks, draft those. I also do startup work, startup support for small businesses and entrepreneurs, form businesses, also assist with acquisitions and mergers.
Wow.
I do a lot of corporate work, and estate planning is more of on the individual side.
Okay. Yeah. So you do a little bit of everything.
I mean, a little bit of everything.
I don't want to
except for IP and,
but
you know, there are a couple other specialties I don't do, but general stuff I do. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. So along with that, now I have a question for you. What is one of the first things that you would say a startup business should consider?
One of the first things they should consider is how they're going to be organized, because that really matters.
Okay.
If you're going to organize as an LLC, if you're a professional, you have to organize as a professional limited liability company or a professional organization, and make sure you have the right credentials and the right licenses. That's something that I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about when they're starting a business. It's very exciting. They just want to get on with it.
Yeah,
but you need to make sure you have all of your I's dotted, all your T's crossed. And that starts with making sure that you have your entity compliant and organized the way that it should be, so that you're not running into issues down the road. That's really the most important thing, is just making sure you're organized well. And that's going to really set you up for success down the road.
Yeah, because I think part of a business is the a huge part is the preparation ahead of time. You know, it's not just, I want to start a business. Tomorrow I'm in business.
Yeah.
You know, and if you think that way, I think your business is probably not gonna, you know, it's gonna fail pretty soon.
Sure.
It's the preparation, I guess, just like making a meal. If I needed a contract written up, is that something that you could help with for my business?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I draft all sorts of contracts, review contracts. I have folks come to me just to review a contract and say, I just want to make sure I understand what I'm reading and what I'm going to sign, which I always appreciate. I definitely encourage people, don't sign something until you've read it, and until you understand what it means. And sometimes it's worth the investment to call an attorney and say, hey, could you just read this for me and make sure I understand what I'm signing? So that's definitely something that I love to assist people with contract work, because I think that's another thing that's very accessible to folks. You don't need to be in a legal dispute or be sued in order to need an attorney. There are many other things that you might need an attorney for, and you know, just being presented with a contract is one of those.
Yeah, just to protect yourself, just in case, right?
Exactly.
Like insurance.
Yes.
What's one of the most common mistakes that business owners make as far as covering themselves and
mistakes? Definitely the organization thing, not being properly organized, not having the proper licenses. You know, I've had, credentials. I had a client a couple of years ago wanted to purchase a business, and everything was looking really good. You know, everything was tracking. We did the due diligence, but the company was organized as an LLC, and that was not the right way for it to be organized, because you needed a professional license in order to run the business.
Yeah. And
my client wasn't aware that you would need a professional license because, first of all, it wasn't organized as a professional company. And anyway, so the person who actually was trying to sell the business wasn't properly organized. And that led to a bunch of other issues down the road, including when they came to try to sell it, because you need to have a professional license, and you can't sell the business to someone who doesn't have a professional license. So I would say that's one thing, is just, you know, make sure that you have all of those things in place. And insurance is also a really important thing to have when you're a startup. Whatever industry that you're in, there's probably an insurance package or product out there to cover you. And that's something that I think a lot of business owners initially forget, is that they want to have that protection as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all need protection, right?
Oh, yes.
Now, Patrice, you said you also do estate planning.
Yes.
I know things can get a little messy when, you know, someone passes away, or there's a who gets what among the siblings.
Yes.
Is it ever too early to start estate planning, or should you wait until you're in those later years in life? Or
that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Definitely don't wait. If you have anything that you want to protect, or anything that you're interested in, you know, passing on to someone specific, make sure you memorialize those intentions. You don't have to have $1 million or $1 billion estate to have an estate plan. And even when it comes to things like, making sure that your pet gets taken care of.
Yeah.
You know, if you're older and you think, okay, I want to make sure I put things in place, it's never too early and never too late to get your estate plan together. And if you're not, a millionaire, if you don't have a lot of assets, you can have a basic estate plan to protect you. A will, a durable power of attorney, and a power of attorney for healthcare. Those are really the important pieces for a basic estate plan that will empower you to do, to put into place the things that you want. And also will help your family down the road. A lot of people avoid doing estate planning because they don't want to think about mortality.
Right.
But at the same time, it is something that is inevitable. We are all going to leave this earth at some point.
Yeah.
So either you're going to have your say or you're not. And I think have your say.
Yeah.
Have the last word. This is really the one opportunity you get to have the last word. Do it.
Yeah.
So, never too late and never too early.
Never too late, never too early. And like you said, you want to have that last word, or you're not. And
yes.
Yeah.
It can lead to a lot of conflict. I mean, like you were saying, you know, people fight about, you know, the resources that are available once somebody has passed. And if they don't know what the person intended, there's going to be a fight. And that's, you know, that's never a good thing. You know, it's already a difficult time when someone has passed.
Right.
It's already a lot to unpack, a lot of emotional, you know, things going on there. So to have people to have their wishes memorialized is really helpful for the family moving forward, to know I don't have to make any hard decisions. The decisions have already been made. All I need to do is follow their instructions. And that's a really powerful thing.
Wow. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Patrice, you listed so many cool things that you do. Did you mention, do you help with divorces?
I do not help with divorces.
Okay.
No, I don't do family law. It's very emotional, and it's very taxing work.
Yeah, I was just about to
family law. Yeah.
Ask you about that, and you know, when there's decisions that need to be made with visitation rights, and you know, I'm sure you've seen that get messy.
It can get very messy. Absolutely. I have never practiced family law myself, but I was a legal assistant several years ago, many years ago. And the attorney that I was supporting, all she did was family law.
Okay.
And yeah, you saw some really emotional things, and you thought, wow, this is... It's hard to see the breakdown of relationships regardless, but when there are kids involved and, you know, and money is involved, I mean, that can be a difficult thing.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I don't do family law, but in terms of contracts, I do prenups and, you know, post-nuptial agreements. I do those as well, because people think oftentimes everything is going to be okay.
Right.
You know, we're going to get married.
That's what you hope.
That's what you hope, right?
Yeah,
and
of course.
But you have to plan for what if that's not the case, especially when you know the statistics are, you know, marriages generally don't survive if you're looking at statistics. But if you know, hey, we're going to be smart about this. We understand that statistically speaking, maybe we're not going to, you know, be married for 30 years, but we can put something in place now that's fair, and that, you know, we both are going to be in agreement with if things don't work out down the road.
Yeah, so I think fair is key, because a lot of times I'll hear people say, I don't want to get married because if it doesn't work out, I'm left with zero and this person gets everything.
Yes.
You know, or maybe that's just what we see on TV all the time. But yeah, do you handle employment issues?
I do, generally in connection with working for a small business, their employees, you know, helping them put contracts in place, helping them put an employee handbook in place, policies, procedures. But on the employee side, I've certainly helped clients review like a separation agreement or some other documentation that their employer wanted to present to them. And they just said, oh, I just want to make sure I understand what they're asking of me,
right?
Or what I'm obligated to do. So I do handle employment law in those sort of finite areas. Yeah.
Is that where you started when you first started practicing law, in that area?
I was in-house counsel when I first started practicing law. So I was working for insurance brokerage. And they saw that I was, you know, I had an aptitude for legal work. And so I started as their first in-house legal counsel after I went through school. And I did do a lot of employment work for them because we probably had 200 employees at the time. So it was really fun to be the first in-house counsel that they had, because I sort of got to create everything on my own. You know, if we wanted a new employee handbook, I didn't have to go to the old one. I just got to create it on my own, which gave me a lot of hands-on experience. And, you know, of course, I did have some mentors that I could go to outside counsel that I could, you know, seek their advice. So it was really a great experience to be in that role and able to learn hands-on the way that I did. And employment law was, you know, a big part of that. And yeah, gave me a lot of exposure to various avenues that I could pursue.
And now you have this long list on your resume of types of law you've practiced. You brush your shoulders off because you have the experience, and I can tell you enjoy what you do.
I do, very much.
You
very
enjoy
much.
helping people. If someone needs an attorney, they need some legal advice, but they feel like, I don't have, all this money to pay, because I think that's what scares a lot of people, and then they don't get any legal representation, and then sometimes they get kind of, not treated fairly in whatever situation that legal representation could have helped. What would you tell someone who feels like, I want to seek help, but I don't have a lot of money to pay for some, high-priced attorney?
Sure. That's a great question. There are a lot of resources out there that someone can go to just even find out, is this a legal claim? Is this even something that I should be pursuing?
Yeah.
Or is it something where I want to call out a business that is not doing the right thing?
Right.
So several resources, the ACLU, if you go on their website, they have lots of information, lots of resources to help figure out what your rights are. And you can even file a complaint online for the ACLU. They'll take a look at it and they'll, make an assessment. Is this something that, maybe other people are experiencing as well? Is this something that we should look into?
Okay.
Same goes for the Attorney General. The Attorney General's office, you can file a complaint with the Attorney General and say, hey, here's my situation. Here's what this business did. I don't think that's fair. And maybe the Attorney General will look into that. Better Business Bureau is a great place to go. Maybe it's not for a dispute per se, but let's say you have just a gripe. You have a complaint about the way a business treated you.
Or
You could,
discrimination issue, or
Sure. A discrimination issue. You can go either to the ACLU or the Human Rights Commission. They have a website that provides lots of information as well for discrimination in employment, in credit, getting insurance, housing. That's a great place to go. The Human Rights Commission. Where else? Oh, another place. Get Jesse on Cairo. If you just want to put somebody on blast, a business has treated you poorly, and maybe it's not something you're going to sue them about, but you just want to say, hey, don't go to this place. They don't treat people well.
I like that.
Call Jesse.
That's true.
And see if he can help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Get Jesse. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound cliche, but I want to ask you, what would you say is the best part of your job?
Wow.
And you don't have to limit it to one thing, but the one thing that you're like, no, that's cool. I like this. I enjoy doing this.
I think my favorite part of my job is drafting contracts. And I know that sounds really silly, but I'm a word nerd. I love words. I was the kid that I tried to create my own dictionary.
Okay.
I wanted to know all the words. I wanted to know what they meant. I wanted to read everything. And so that I had that natural curiosity with regard to that. So being able to put people's intentions into a document that will be upheld. Two people agree, they sit across from each other and they say, okay, well, we have this idea. We want to do this one thing, and they want to put that in a contract. I really like the challenge of putting their ideas into writing and having it be really precise to exactly what they wanted, so that at the end, if it is challenged, it says exactly what they agreed to at the time. And I think that's really a powerful thing. I mean, I think it's Margaret Atwood who'd said, a word after a word after a word is power. And I completely agree.
I like that.
Yeah.
Word nerd. That was pretty cool too. So were you big on writing when you were in school?
Oh, yes.
Because one of my favorite teachers, shout out to Miss Susan Burnett, she always told me that great writers are great readers, great readers are great writers, usually hand in hand.
Sure.
So yeah, she used to let me do a lot of writing in her class when I was done with her work, and yeah, she helped me out a lot. So shout out to Miss Burnett.
Yes.
But yeah, so wow, we unpacked a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And there's always so much more to learn, right?
That's true. Very true.
Now, before we go, Is there any shout outs you'd like to give to anybody out there, or you don't have to, or just shout out to yourself for all the hard work that you do?
Shout out to my wife. She is also a teacher. She works very hard. So shout out to her.
Okay, shout out to her. Nice.
Yeah.
That was quick.
That was
And if someone, I don't know if you're taking on any new clients, but if someone wants to reach out to you, how can they get a hold of you?
You can reach me at my website. It's KreiderHughesLaw.com. That's KreiderHughes law.com. You can also just reach me at info@KreiderHughesLaw.com. Either one.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much, Patrice. This has been an excellent conversation. And I know there's people jotting down your information because they might have so many questions, and it's cool to feel like you found someone who's going to answer it and not make you feel like you're dumb because you don't have the answer. And if we don't ask those questions, we won't have the answers. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I need to talk to you off camera. And thank you guys once again for tuning in. Thank you for your support. It means a lot. I do this for us, not for me. I do this for us. And remember, it's good to take care of others, but please take time to take care of yourself. It's important. Until next time, stay connected. Peace.